coding and analysis are areas that often leave students feeling a little confused, but it doesn't have to be that way. In this video, we'll explore a popular inductive coding technique called process coding. We'll unpack what it is, which types of research aims it's well suited to, and how to approach it, along with loads of practical examples. Let's do it. Hey, my name's Emma, and today we're gonna unpack process coding, a common qualitative coding technique. This video is based on a lesson from our popular short course, Qualitative Research Bootcamp. So, if you're feeling a little overwhelmed by the qualitative realm, be sure to check that out. To say thanks for watching this video, we've actually got a special 50% discount offer just for you. You can find the link to that in the description. All right, so let's start by asking the question, what is process coding? To answer this, we need to first take a step back and define what exactly we mean by coding more broadly. Simply put, qualitative coding is the process of categorizing and labeling textual data. The act of coding lays the foundation for identifying themes and patterns within your data and ultimately extracting insights from it. In other words, coding is the first step in the broader qualitative analysis process. When it comes to qualitative coding, you can take an inductive, deductive, or hybrid approach. In other words, you can allow your codes to emerge from the dataset itself. This would be inductive, or you can approach the dataset with a predetermined set of codes based on an existing theory or theoretical framework. This would be deductive. Alternatively, you can take a hybrid or abductive approach, blending the two. The right approach for your project will depend on your specific research aims and research questions. If you'd like to learn more about choosing the right approach, we've got another video covering that. You can find the link in the description. All right, with that foundation laid, we can now dig into process coding specifically. Process coding is an inductive coding technique. In other words, a bottom-up approach, which focuses on actions, events, and processes. In practical terms, process coding typically involves coding verbs and gerunds. That is to say, words ending in ing. For example, in a study examining the implementation of new educational policies, you might use codes like implementing reforms, training teachers, or updating curriculum. Similarly, if you are analyzing the experiences of patients navigating long-term medical treatments, you might use codes such as suffering, complying, or recovering. These codes would then help you to track the processes, actions, and stages that are relevant to your core research aims. As you can probably see, process coding's focus on actions can help you to understand the how and what of various activities and phenomena. Therefore, it's well suited to studies where the research aims and questions involve understanding processes, sequences, actions, and changes over time. Now that we've explained what process coding is, the logical next question is, how do you actually do process coding? Well, as with any form of inductive coding, the first step is to collect and compile your data set. This read-through will help you to understand the overall content and context of the dataset as a whole, as opposed to getting tunnel vision on one or two portions of the dataset. From there, you can note down any initial patterns that you notice and start developing some codes based on these patterns. Once you've built a preliminary list of codes, you can start your second reading and begin applying those codes to your dataset. As you do this, you'll likely notice new potential codes emerging. And so you'll build your code list as you go, cycling back and forth to apply these new codes as you go. Once you're comfortable that you've applied your codes in a consistent fashion, you can start refining your codes and grouping them into meaningful categories. This process is called code categorization. Importantly, these categories should reflect larger processes or sequences of actions that are significant to your research aims. For example, if you were undertaking a study exploring how small businesses adapt to technological change, you might have codes such as evaluating needs, researching options, and planning integration. These codes could be categorized as the preparation stage. Similarly, codes such as implementing technology, training staff, and integrating systems could be categorized as the implementation stage. Once you've applied your codes and categorized them into logical groups, your data set should be ready for analysis. This might take the form of something like thematic analysis or content analysis, depending on your specific research aims. If this all sounds a bit intimidating, be sure to check out our private coaching service, where we can hold your hand through the coding process step by step. Alternatively, we also have a done-for-you coding service, where our qualitative experts meticulously code your data, laying a rock-solid foundation for your analysis. You can find the links down in the description. All right, we've covered quite a bit of ground here, so let's do a quick recap. At the simplest level, process coding is an inductive coding technique that focuses on verbs, gerunds, and action-related terms. Therefore, it's well suited to studies where the research aims and the research questions involve understanding processes, sequences, actions, and changes over time. Of course, process coding is just one of many techniques, and it can be combined with other coding techniques for a more multi-dimensional analysis. If you're interested in learning more about the other coding options, check out the links below. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons so that we can keep you posted with the latest tips and tools. And be sure to check out this video next.